Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair. And each Thursday, I try to bring you a video to show you a technique, or maybe it'll just be a tip or a trick. But today we're going to do the Bouncing Brayer Technique. It's been many years since I had tried this, and I thought I should do it again. For some reason, I had bad memories of it. And for the life of me now, after I did it again, I don't know why. I think when I was originally shown how to do it, it was a little bit different than some of the research I did more recently. So I'm going to show you the way that worked better for me. I'll tell you about the other way, but I'm not going to demonstrate it because I didn't even practice it. So let's just put my camera down and get started. The nice thing about this technique is you need very, very few supplies. You need a brayer, cardstock, and ink pads, and that is it. Now, the card I'm going to demonstrate for you, and I'm just going to show you the technique. I'm not going to make the whole card as typical, is this here, how to make this, I'll call it sunrise, sunset. And I have a quarter sheet of cardstock. I typically like to start with a larger sheet for most of my techniques for a couple reasons. One is if the edges get messed up or I don't like something on one side, I can kind of trim it so maybe I have a better chance of covering it. The other thing is I love to have extra that I can trim off and then use to decorate either my envelope or maybe the inside of my card. So what I found works well is I like to use some temporary adhesive, and I got this on Amazon. We no longer sell it at Stampin' Up. And just attach that so it's kind of secure on a background, because we're going to take our brayer and ink it, and I am going to, rather than go around like this and have to use my arm to go around, I found what worked best is if I just can kind of stay in the same place and turn my paper, okay? So that's the way I'm going to do it. And I played around with colors for this particular card, and I ended up with Lemon Lolly, Daffodil Delight, and Peach Pie. I tried pumpkin pie instead of the peach pie. I tried Calypso Coral. I do have a sample here, not of a card, but of a technique with the Calypso Coral. And I wasn't real crazy about how it turned out, but you might like it. So don't be afraid to try different colors. You certainly don't have to use my colors. Now, one hint is you kind of want to figure out when you're doing the circular style of bouncing brayer, you want to pick a point, and then when you figure out where that point is, like let's just say it's smack dab in the middle of my card, then you want to keep this end of your brayer on that point as you turn your paper. With my card, I did use die cuts down here, and I did that on purpose because I didn't do this all the way around. I was going to stamp down here, but it didn't really work because I masked this so you can put a piece of masking paper on here, but your brayer doesn't get up to the edge. So my skyline became too high. Now I could mask layer lower, of course, and that might be worth a try. The other thing is when I did my first sample, even though I had this masked, and I masked it with just regular lightweight copy paper, where I was on that point and I was hitting that every time with my brayer, the ink actually went through my mask and made this spot. So I ended up not being able to stamp over that. And I used die cuts, okay? Now, you could take a piece for masking if you really wanted to stamp and keep your card flat without dimensionals. You could use like an acrylic sheet or maybe even a piece of just plastic wrap, saran wrap, or Glad wrap or something like that. Or you could use a piece of acrylic sheet. Just remember, when you do that, you will want to place it lower, because the brayer, it stays probably 1/4 of an inch away from that, because this is flat and now you've got that little edge, so you don't get any ink there. Okay, so a couple hints. Maybe it would be easier to show you. I have another scrap here of paper. I can do that. So let's just go ahead and ink this up. And I'm going to ink the whole roller with Lemon Lolly. Push and lift many times until it's inked all the way around. And I'm going to keep this kind of low. And I'm going to start horizontally. Okay, clear out my stuff. And I'm going to pick a place about center in the card. And we're just going to start tapping and lifting and rotating our paper. And the faster you rotate, the further you're going to have between your lines, obviously. I can show you that. I'll start rotating faster on this half. And I need you, it is here, it's hard to see, but you also need to ink up occasionally. So let's just continue on from here. And you can go over this as many times as you want to get it as full and as solid as you want it to be. Now you can see I'm already getting a fair amount of ink here, and I'm sure when we lift this up later, it will be on the other side. It's also slightly off center, which is why I like to have a thicker piece of paper, or a larger piece of paper, because I could trim this side off so I get that in the center. Now you definitely want to clean your brayer well. And normally I just run mine under the faucet at the sink, but I don't have a sink here where I am. So I have a little container of water, and then you want to clean it off and dry it very well. And make sure that you dry this metal bar here. There are drops that I'm trying not to get it on above that, because the first time I did it, I dried the roller really well, but I didn't look at this bar that there was water on it. And when I went for my next color and I tapped, those drops fell off onto my, just like over here. You can see where water dropped over here. So if it drops on your card, it makes a spot. Now you can cover it with something, and on one of my cards I had to do that I'm going to show you. I do have 2 more. So just make sure, take your time, and just get it nice and dry before you switch colors. Now, this is not totally solid with Lemon Lolly. If you wanted it solid, just continue to go over, rotate slower, and your lines will be closer together. And we're going to now do Daffodil Delight. So I will ink this up. One thing about light colors, it's kind of difficult to see if you have it colored all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to stick to that same spot and grab my paper over here and just start tapping, bouncing. I should say bouncing, because it is called Bouncing Brayer. And I am just going to continue to bounce. Now this one has a piece of my hair on it. Can you see that? Right there. Did it make a line or a pattern? Oh man, I'm going to get inky fingers now, aren't I? Well, it doesn't want to come off. There we go. Look at that. There's my hair. So let me, and here, the Daffodil Delight, you can see they're in a little bit different spots again. You're not trying to get them in the same spot. And the thing is, you can always decide if you want additional, if you want it fuller and so it's less lines and more solid looking, just go ahead and repeat a color. So, all right, I'm going to take that a couple times, just make sure I got all the water off. And let's grab our peach pie. I might go back and add some more lemon lolly at the end. We're just going to see how it looks this way first. So, ink this up. Out of my way, and here we go with color number 3. You can do as many colors as you want. I have one card that I did 2 colors with. I have another that I think I did 4, maybe 5. And I didn't get much over here, so let's just add a little bit. We ink this here kind of in the middle. There, that looks a little more consistent. And I'm actually going to call that good. I like to have a little bit of white in mine. I'm not sure why. It's just kind of my personal preference. I think it gives it a little bit more contrast than if it's all a color. And you can see in my finished card. So here's my finished card. There is some white in here too, and I just think it adds a little more depth to it if you do that, but that's personal preference. So that is Bouncing Brayer. Here's the one I made that I used Calypso Coral. I thought it was maybe for a sunrise. It was a little dark. I don't know. So that's why I went to tried pumpkin pie first, and that was almost as dark as this. So then I thought I'd try peach pie. So that is the technique. Easy, right? It doesn't get much easier than that. So here's to explain the rest of the card. I did use the In the Grove stamp set. And because I had stamping down here for my sunset, and I had one of these little dots where my center was, I did cover it with die cuts. This is just the grassy stamp and die cut. And they have these little tiny trees. There's a die in there. So these birds are from a couple retired stamp set. I have no current stamp set. I've actually looked in the catalog for some that have birds like this and didn't find any. So maybe I should look online. Maybe there's one online, but I just grabbed some retired ones. And then to do the inside, I just stamped the grass again in the envelope. So that's that card. I am going to pull. Yeah, you can see where it kind of bleeds through, where you get a lot of ink right there. And copy paper is not quite as heavy as cardstock. If I used cardstock for my mat, it probably wouldn't bleed through. But anyway, here's my second card. Again, I did a circle. This time I went all the way around, didn't stop halfway. I just didn't do half. I did the whole thing. I wanted it to be a background. And this is a new stamp set that will be available. It's available now for demonstrators as pre-order, and it will be available, I want to say September 3rd or 4th. Can't remember the exact day, the beginning of September, when the mini catalog goes live. It's called Sentimental Wishes. Cute little stocking, I thought. So I got another Christmas card done. How about that? And I did have a piece I trimmed off and used on the inside. So that is card number 2. And I had some more pieces I trimmed off. So I just used those strips. I started with a 1/4 sheet of paper and trimmed it down. And so I had leftovers that I could use to decorate. And then the last card, this was done with 2 colors, Poppy Parade and Granny Apple Green. And the last card I'm going to show you uses Forever Forest, which is a stamp set that has a lot of these trees and die cuts. And here I thought I'd give a shot, just do it vertically. You can do it horizontally, you can do circles, you can go in any direction you want. Don't think you have to do any particular shape. Here I did use several different colors to create my Northern Lights. I have Lemon Lime Twist, Lost Lagoon, Bubble Bath, Balmy Blue, and Fresh Freesia across here. So when I bounced this, I just took my paper and I did it this way, and this way is easier than going around, so I didn't move my paper. I just bounced up the paper, or you could bounce down. And I separated them a little bit further apart because I knew I was going to have a lot of colors and I didn't want it to get too muddy. So then I just did a little blending brush down here to give some grass. These were stamped right over the Technique. I did mask down here so that I only went this far. And then I could come up to the lights with the blending brush, right? And then here I had a tiny little scrap that I cut off at the bottom of the grass, so I just use it in here and stamp to stamp. So those are my 3 cards. I hope you like the technique. It's much easier than I thought. And I did mention I might show you if I use a mask. I don't have any great supplies for a mask, but I can give it a shot. Let's just take this and we'll show you what happens just for grins, because you may want to use a mask. So let's just fold this over and let's take a clean piece of paper. And I won't do all 3 colors. I'll just use a couple, or maybe just even one. I just want to show you that you can, it doesn't, wherever you put your mask, put it lower than you want it if you want to stamp down below. That's my point. All right, so I got my brayer sitting in the water. Let me get it dry. Here you can you see the bubbles of water sitting on that bar? Well, that happened to me on this card here. There's a big blotch of water behind the trees. But you know what? We can fix most anything by covering them up, right? All right. So let me just show you this quickly. I will just use the Daffodil Delight. I think that one works pretty well. I just want to show you kind of how you have to put your mask a little lower than you would think, because as you go through this, and you can start wherever, just as you go through this and turn your paper, you see it doesn't get down to the paper edge. Now, maybe if I hit harder, I don't know. If I could get right up to the edge and not cross over, you'd be all right, but I'm not that good. Yeah, you've got about, I would say, just allow for 1/4 of an inch. And then if you want to, then you can stamp up to here, but you can see where the point was heading. You kind of do get that. So in that case, I would use probably like an acrylic sheet or saran wrap or something so that the ink doesn't go through you can see where it's gone through the back of my basically copy paper mask. So that is that. I'll just put these back out here quickly so you can see them all once more. And how do I want to lay them? I don't know why I worry about this. I guess the main thing is I should just try to get them all in the picture, right? There we go. You can see them all now, I think. All right. Enough chit chat. Let's get back over here and my computer. I don't know if you saw that or not, but HP every once in a while, it pops up and it says, do you want to allow this app to update? Do you want to allow this? And it asks you twice each and every time. I don't know why. I don't even know what it's updating, but I have an HP computer and it's like comes in at the most inconvenient time. Oh, so that's what happened in that little, what happened here? So anyway, I'm glad you joined. I hope you give that a try. You don't need many supplies, just a brayer other than your ink pad, and use different colors, play with the colors. It's easy, it's fun, do different. I'm going to try some where I just kind of go in all directions, make like a graphical background. I didn't do that for today, but I'm going to try that just for me, for fun. And I will put a link to the tutorial for the one that I demonstrated today, which was the one with the sunset. I'll have a link in the description down below, so you can get a copy of the tutorial with written directions for all the information on the card and how to make that card. And the one with the trees, this one here, this one will be on my blog next week. So if you want tutorial for that one to remind you of what colors I used or whatever, go to my Fearless Stamp and Flair blog and you'll be able to get a tutorial for that one next week. So I have to make these things stretch and use them for as many things as I can, right? Work less, work smarter. What's it called? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you for watching today. I hope you give it a try. God bless.